I love how it does that. Oh my gosh, my microphone. Oh my goodness. Can you all hear me? I don't even know if you can hear me through the mic. Last time that wasn't working, but who cares? Happy Monday, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are listening, tuning in, watching. I'm so grateful that you're here. Grateful for everyone that's in the room. Welcome, Coral, Taryn, Anthony, Kanak, and Cecilia. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to those that are watching worldwide or on YouTube. And if you're listening to the replay on the Spotify app, I am so grateful for you. This is a live, interactive conversation that then gets distributed as a podcast. And I'm just grateful if you're tuning in because it's a different format. And sometimes, the conversation just kind of like lingers or stalls and you keep listening, and I'm just so grateful for you. I'm grateful for everyone that's live in the room. It is Monday, March 27th, and what a great opportunity to kind of ponder the end of the first quarter of the year. What are your thoughts? What have you kind of reevaluated? What have you discovered? What have you shifted? There's a lot going on this week astrologically that is so much kind of nicer and it should go smoother than last week. And so I think it's nice to jump into quarter two with a little less drama, even though there's so much drama happening. I mean, like a little less internal, even though there's so much happening everywhere. The news from Nashville were the saddest thing this morning. I just hate starting the week with stuff like that, right? It's such a tragedy. And so there's just a lot going on around the whole world. Politically speaking as well, there's just so much going on. And so last week, there were major astrological shifts with Pluto leaving Capricorn and hopping on to whatever comes next, which I forget what it is right now. I think it's Aries. See, now I don't even know. Now I don't remember. But that's like a big change that is happening for the first time in 30 years. So do you think it might be just a tiny little bit significant, the fact that this change is happening for the first time in 30 years? And then Saturn is in Pisces this week, and that's also happening for the very first time in forever. So those are some of the things that are happening or that happened last week. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm just making this conversation while you all just gather around and get ready. Let's begin. Good evening, everybody. My name is Graciela Moore. I come at you live from Florida, Song of Myself Coaching, and this is Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace. I'm so grateful that you're here. We like to gather together every moon day, which is today, Monday. It is 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we strategize for the week ahead. We like to very lightly touch on the astrology for the week, brought to you by Jessica Laniato or the Chani app or your favorite astrologer other than me. And then I love to really ponder and discuss where the moon is every day and what could that mean for you. So we have this week with the moon in Gemini, then, doing its thing along with the planetary activity that, I got the rundown from my peeps over at the Ghost of a Podcast or the Astrology of the Week by Chani. And so Gemini, it was great this morning because I started the morning with Empower Yourself Morning Space on Twitter, and the guest was a Gemini, so she got really excited knowing that the moon was in Gemini this morning. And Gemini is an air sign. If anybody in the audience is Gemini, then we love you and our heart goes out to you, just like any other sign, right? Geminis are super cool. And I feel like my experience with Geminis has always been fun and outgoing and happy, and Geminis are very creative. It's a very creative sign. And so when the moon, which is the emotions, is in Gemini, it's a lot of that dance and freedom and finding ways to express whatever is, underlying and happening. And so we began the week with the moon in Gemini, and then it's going to go into Cancer. We've talked about this so many times. Cancer can be so emo, but at the same time, if you are a Cancer, or if you have the moon in Cancer, then your moon is at home in Cancer, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so what that means is that even though when the moon is in Cancer, it's going to be Wednesday. Oh, actually, it's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday of the moon in Cancer. You might feel all the feels. So, considering it, put this in the context of the first quarter of the year, and having this conversation with yourself about how you can literally look back at the first quarter of the year and a lot of what you did. If you're following the Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace 2023 Manifestation Agenda / Journal, then you can look back on everything you've done for the past 3 months, right? Because it's all there. And so this whole weekend, I have been pondering my year so far. I wonder who else has been doing this. And in fact, we're going to close out the whole month with a conversation on the Empaths Unite community space on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time about the first quarter of the year. What are the seeds that you're nurturing? What seeds do you really want to focus on as we move on into the year? And what are you reevaluating? And now I want to bring it to what we discussed last week, and all of the cluster, right? The cluster that we discussed that was happening astrologically, and how this week on Thursday, Mars and Saturn join forces on water signs. And when Mars joins Saturn, there's only 2 ways it could go, even though I feel like that could be for anything, right? One way is they're going to overcomplicate something that shouldn't be so complicated, Mars and Saturn together. That's one choice. They're going to complicate something that shouldn't be complicated. Or Mars and Saturn on a water sign, right, can also kind of bring the opposite. They're going to allow for things to flow with ease and grace. Things that should be a little bit harder, they're going to flow with ease and grace. And so we kind of got blessed this week because it is the latter. That's what's happening. And I feel like after a week like the one we had last week, astrologically speaking, or whatever happened in your life that you can think of that you think was kind of like, man, that was so unnecessary drama. Or, of course, we all go through the motions of why me, or why did that happen? Or I was hoping this would just happen differently. We all go through these thoughts. We all go through these motions, right? So I think that this week, pondering your first quarter of the year, what you are reevaluating, what seeds you want to really continue to focus on, what things are you changing, what things are you really not fixing because they are not broken, but just changing. Moving forward, Mars and Saturn joining forces and allowing for things to flow with ease and grace. I love that. We've talked about flowing so many times. How many times have we not done some of our meditations and we're just flowing in the water, right? Because we don't want to flow against it. And another thing that she mentioned is, and this is Chani Nicholas from the Chani app and the Astrology for the Week podcast, is, and I loved when she said this, is that in this kind of scenario with what's going on astrologically this week, it almost feels like the body, so out here in the world, I call it in the land of the living, right? You've heard me say this before. Our higher self or our inside that has kind of gathered all the lessons from the previous astrology. We've discussed all the drama. Mars was in Gemini for a bit. Mars was in retrograde for a bit. A lot of the things that are happening, there's like 6 different planets in Aries at the time. So there's a lot going on, and we've discussed all of these things. And so she mentioned that this week, there's hope for our insides to really get on the same page as our outside, or maybe the other way around, right? Because the inside has been doing all of that internal work. And it's so funny. I love how I've heard this before, but I heard it this weekend on the show Wednesday on Netflix. We were watching it again. And one of the characters says that some of the most beautiful things grow in the dark. And we've discussed before how when we plant those seeds of intention, right? In this show, we like to journal and we like to paint over it. And that's the metaphor of planting those seeds that you really want to watch grow or to nurture, all of that, right? The metaphor of how life is a garden and we are the gardener, right? And so we like to plant those seeds, and I love the metaphor of the fact that some of those things that we really want to nurture and continue to focus on are in the dark. I don't remember what I wrote there. I literally journaled with all of you live here on the show, and then we painted over it, and that's that. Now, we do other types of journaling, right? We do the Monday journaling. I do the bedtime journaling. So you may not journal at all, and that's fine. But it's so funny how it's so true that, things are happening. It's almost like the tree in the forest. And because I'm in social media so much, and I've been thinking about taking a break. This is one of the epiphanies that I've had, right? If I do something and don't tell anyone about it, right? It's like in the shadow. Is it a secret? Or did it not happen? And the answer is, it did happen. I don't need a witness, right? I know that I did it. And so I feel like there's a lot there, and so many changes are happening across the world financially as well. So now we've talked about politics. Well, we haven't talked about them, but I did kind of like mention how the astrology of it all is playing out on politics and all of that. And if you want to listen to how the astrology is connected to politics, then definitely listen to the Ghost of a Podcast by Jessica Laniato. This is honestly, I guess it's her life's work to make these connections and to obviously keep up with everything that's happening, and how the planetary movement, what it has to do with it is so fascinating. And so, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that, but the moon in Cancer, that's going to be happening on Thursday with Mars and Saturn, kind of hopefully allowing us to flow through things, through whatever happens with ease and grace, flow through our emotions, right? Because that's what the moon in Cancer is going to bring up. If your review of the first quarter of the year is kind of disappointing, how are you going to flow with ease and grace through those thoughts? Right? Or are you going to berate yourself and engage in all that negative self-talk? Mercury is not in retrograde, so we kind of don't have to worry about that automatic negative self-talk. But Mercury is also doing beautiful things this week. As of today, actually, it is joining forces with Jupiter, which means the planet of communication, the planet of interconnection, the planet of relationships, not romantic relationships, but just, conversations, communication in general, is joining forces with the planet that just enhances everything and wants to have a great time and brings abundance in all ways. So if it's negative, then it's an abundance of negative, and if it's positive, then the more the merrier. And so it's all of that to say that the week shouldn't be as dramatic as last week, but at the same time, the moon is doing its thing. And when the moon is in Cancer, it might stir up those whatever feelings you might be avoiding. So emotional intelligence also becomes one of the greatest tools this week, just to remind yourself that you can breathe, that you're an adult, that you are blessed, that you fill the blank. What is it that you would like to celebrate and remind yourself, so that you can ground yourself and not necessarily dive into a roller coaster of emotions. Let's see. Then the moon moves into Leo, which is also very interesting, because Leo could make you feel, we go from not a sad, Cancers are not sad, and the sign itself is not sad at all. But let me just rephrase. The moon in Cancer may make you, be in your feelings. So it goes from being in your feelings about your quarter one, maybe if you're looking back at it with a little bit of shame, or not disdain, but disappointment, or a little bit of just doubt, right? Then those negative emotions, those negative feelings may awaken a negative emotion. And so during the moon in Cancer, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you may feel those things. But by the time the moon moves into Leo, what I feel may happen, that I would love for all of us to avoid, is when those sad feelings transform into feelings of anger. And then how that can transpire, just energetically speaking, even if it's just a short period of time. I'm not saying don't throw yourself a pity party, by all means, whatever, throw yourself a little pity party. But should it last forever? Absolutely not. And should it affect others in a negative way? Hopefully not, right? Like, we need to be able to, that's what emotional intelligence is, right? To be able to navigate through feelings and through emotions without losing it, right? Without seeing red. And I feel like that lion, roar, can definitely just go from 0 to 100 in no time, and just see red and not really care about it. And then right before next week, we go into, the moon goes into Virgo. And I just love starting a week with the moon in Virgo. Virgo is super organized and structured and likes to figure things out and to have it done just so. And so to start a week, moon day, and to reevaluate the whole week and plan ahead, the moon in Virgo, I think, is very instrumental and helpful in that way. And that concludes our Mooncast for the week. Yay! Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and scan the room. Welcome, Ro, Adam, Georgia, Cecilia's here, Coral, Taryn, and Anthony, and everybody watching worldwide. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. If you're listening on the Spotify replay app, replay, there you go, then I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. So that is the Mooncast for the week. Now, if you're following the moon, magic, and mindfulness, then maybe you've already done this. The book. And if you're not, then get a piece of paper and join us as we tackle the moon day page in the book, which is available on Amazon, and you can get it in the link in the description or on the fortune cookie. Every Monday, you're invited to fill in these things and to go ahead and journal. For about 3 episodes now, I've been journaling at the end of the day, and that's because I really, really try not to journal on Sundays, and I always end up doing it. But I don't want to think ahead on Sundays. And then Monday morning, everything just happens too fast. And so it's been more of a plan ahead, but Monday is already done type of journaling. But there's tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And a few things that I wanted to mention earlier, really just one, about the financial, that's where I was going, about the financial landscape of the world and everything that's happening. If you are a creator on Instagram or in other apps, and you were a beneficiary of the bonus program that now has been canceled, I would love to connect and just chat over tea about your experience with this bonus program that now has been revoked, and how that affects you and how you are continue to create and move forward in that app or any other. So let me know, and we can definitely get together over tea and chat, maybe even go live and have a conversation. So that's really what I wanted to mention. Now, the moon phase for the day is the waxing crescent, and I love how the astrology of the week says for you to flow, or it doesn't say for you to flow. It seems to be positioning itself in a way that allows for flow and for ease, whether you flow is your, business. But what the moon phase for today wants you to know, which has been here for a very long time, is for you to be flexible when faced with a change. And so if you are reevaluating the first quarter of the year and how you're going to move forward, how can you apply flexibility? How can you remain fluid during the changes that you might want to implement moving forward into quarter 2, 3, and 4 of 2023? Or is this like a lifelong change? Are the things that were kind of highlighted in the past few weeks, not just last week, but the things that have been highlighted since the year started, are they contributing to some lifelong changes that you might end up committing to this week? Dun, dun, dun. That's a lot of grown-up stuff to do, right? So how can you be flexible when faced with those decisions and those changes? And then what will you create? That's the question. What is something that you need to make sure that you do this week? For example, this week at some point, I know it's the 27th, but March always confuses me. I always go all day thinking it has 30 days and it has 31. So at this point, I don't even know when April 1st is. Just kidding. It's right here. It's Saturday. It's on the app. It's on the book. So April 1st. And now I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah. So how are you evaluating? April 1st is the newsletter. Oh, thank you. And so that's what I need to make sure to create this week, the newsletter that goes out on the 1st and on the 15th. What am I grateful for? What are you grateful for? The book says I am grateful for. I'm grateful for everyone in the room. Welcome, Jacqueline and Ron. And I'm grateful for everyone that messages me after the show is done. That has been super nice and super cute, and it makes my day every time that you text me about the shop. Oh yeah, April Fool's Day. Don't be too mean if you play tricks. I don't participate on April Fool's Day. Sorry about that, Run. And yes. And what you said actually reminded me of something that I thought about this week, which is not necessarily to watch what you say or how it could get you in trouble. These are some of the things that really tend to happen when Mercury is in retrograde, which happens like 4 times a year. So we do talk about it a lot, but this week, just really, it's like any other week. I don't want to say that the astrology of the week says that you should do this week. No. This is something that should be a standing, not rule, but just bylaw. And that is to mean what you say and say what you mean. Or is it the other way around? Say what you mean and really mean what you say. So if you are going to say something mean but you don't mean it, then don't say it. I'll say it again. If you're going to say something mean but you don't mean it, then don't say it. Shouldn't that be like every week, every day? But this week in particular, right? With Mercury and Saturn doing all these things and Jupiter amplifying it all. That's the problem. So you definitely don't want to amplify the negative. You want to focus. It's almost like, let's look back at Q1 of the year and not just look at everything we did wrong, which of course, for growth and for reevaluating what's working and what's not working, you kind of need to look at the failures. Don't just put blinders on and look at everything I've accomplished. No. Right? Like we're experimenting. We need to, this is what growing and evolving is like, right? And so you're going to look back at all of those things that kind of disappoint you, and you're going to do it with ease and grace and with gladness for the lessons learned and how you can reevaluate and move forward. And and do life. Do your best life. So that's it for the week. We don't paint or journal live on any of the shows unless they are new moon and full moon episodes. And I agree. The picture in the thumbnail, sorry, I had to think about the word for a second, in the thumbnail is incorrect. It says new moon, and today's just a normal moon episode. But I wasn't able to change it. The app wouldn't allow me to change it. So thank you all for being here again. But this is not an episode where we get to journal and paint together. However, we do get to go on a meditation if no one is coming up to speak. So this is your chance to come up and say hello if you would like to. And to celebrate the week together. If not, we're going to go ahead and meditate and call it a day. All right. Coral, I hope to speak with you soon. You're brand new here. Welcome. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and close your eyes. I haven't done that one in a while. Give me your hand, darling. All right, don't give me your hand, but definitely get comfortable, both feet on the ground. If you are willing and able, go ahead and lay down on your back. We're about to do some deep breathing. And the point of this, for those of you who join every week, then of course you know the drill. We're going to do this for about 15 minutes or a little bit less than that. And the reason why we like to take deep breaths, actually there's so many reasons, but we've been doing this together since last year. And so just to kind of narrow it down, long story short, breathing is life, right? And if you are anything like me, meaning, let's say, if you are a survivor, if you've had near-death experiences, if you grew up in a lot of drama or toxicity, if you are constantly stressed, or even depending on what you eat, right, then you need to turn to breathing. Not just, the normal breathing that you do literally 24/7, more times than you could ever count, but not systematic, but strategic. There you go. Strategic breath work geared to really oxygenate the body. The amount of benefits are just way too long to really disclose at this point. But we like to take a moment just to really, it's almost like I like to do it on principle, right? This is part of my daily practice. Breathwork has been my go-to anxiety remedy, honestly, since I was like 20 something. And I just remember thinking in my head, like, you need to breathe through this moment in your life. And I remember in the movies when people are like hyperventilating and they ask them to like put their head down or, bend their body down and just breathe, or breathe into a bag, right? And so I grew up watching all of these things. I always found the bag kind of interesting. How do you not hyperventilate and, faint from that? But breathing is just essential. And, if you spend your day talking too, it's like I have a great life, I'm blessed, I live a positive life. But if your job requires you to be on the phone or to speak like a teacher or a salesperson, right? If you're constantly talking all day long, then you're not pausing to breathe, right? And so we like to do that together. I'll walk you through a meditation, and if you're in the East Coast, then you will be ready for bed right after this. And if not, then of course you can tune in whenever, and it'll be a great time, and hopefully you can relax. So let's go ahead and open up Brain FM. You can find a free trial and a discount on your membership in the link in the description below. It has music for studying, music for reading, music for unwinding, music for doing house chores, and music for sleeping. Oh, their sleeping playlists are amazing. And music for meditating. So let's get to it. We're going to the forest on this beautiful crescent moon day. Both feet on the ground, and if you're able, go ahead and lay down so you can take deep belly breaths. If not, just go ahead and align your body where you are. Shake it up so you can align your spine. Stretch your neck if you feel like it. All of this while breathing nice and slow without even realizing it. And with me, you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose. Nice and slow, deep breath in all the way. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it go through your mouth. Nice and slow. Long breath out all the way. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe in again through your nose. Nice, long, deep breath. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it go through your mouth. Nice and long breath out. And as you continue to breathe, normal, quiet, I want you to just ponder this moment. And with a smile on your face, I want you to look back on the last 3 months, on all of the beautiful moments that brought you joy and laughter. The people that consistently showed up. The experiences that taught you something great about yourself, like how brave you are, how courageous. And I want you to look back at all the moments where you experienced doubt, or shed a tear, or felt fear, And as you take a deep breath in through your nose, and you fill your lungs with so much air in this moment, I want you to release with your mouth and just let it all go with gladness and faith. Just let it all go and settle into the peace of knowing that you are learning so much and implementing every day and making strides and course correcting and analyzing and reevaluating and succeeding and failing and succeeding and failing. And you're doing your very best. And you feel so good. And so peaceful. And so proud. And as you take a deep breath in through your nose, deep, nice and slow, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it out through your mouth. Long breath out all the way. Bring your awareness to your hand and place your hand on your heart. And you may repeat these affirmations or just ponder them. I am flexible and seek fluidity when faced with change. I work towards the manifestation of my dreams, one step at a time. And in the process, I offer comfort, tolerance, and compassion to myself and others. I am loved. I am supported. I am guided. And I am so proud of my progress and so excited for whatever comes next. With me, one last breath in through your nose. All the way, long, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it out through your mouth. Long breath out all the way till you have no air. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe in again. All the way, fill your lungs. They're so big. So big. You can fill your lungs all the way. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let it out through your mouth. Nice and long breath out all the way. And hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you now breathe normally and slowly, bring your awareness to your body. Wiggle your toes or move your ankles. Open your eyes and come back to me. So thank you, everybody. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for the love and the support, and thank you for your comments. Again, it brings me so much joy to connect with you and to hear about your input or your comments on the show. If you are subscribed to my YouTube, where you can watch this live, or you can watch how I break it up into different segments, especially the meditations, then I want to thank you for being a subscriber, and of course, thank you for tuning in and for leaving a comment. It always makes my day. I think you can also, of course, review it on the Spotify app, even though I obviously don't show up there other than to, deliver this episode. Really, the magic happens here on the Fireside Chat app. So if you're listening on the YouTube or you're listening on Spotify and you still don't know what the Fireside Chat app is, go to the link in the description. It is my link tree where you can do all the things. You can follow me on social media, you can book a call, you can check my website, you can get the books, or you can RSVP to be a part of this show and join the conversation. I know in this episode, none of the people in the room joined me to be a part of the conversation, but that's usually what happens, and I'm just so grateful whenever they do. So thank you again to everyone for tuning in, and we're going to talk next week about the full moon in, where? Let's check the book to see where the full moon is. And also, I got distracted with the full moon in Libra. I got distracted thinking about where the full moon is in April 6th, because April 19th is going to be the first eclipse of the year. So I'm excited for eclipse season to begin and for some of those changes to really start happening. So thank you again, and I love you all, and I will see you next moon day. Bye, everybody.